Good evening students. In this video we are going to discuss the chapter acid, base and salt, and in this chapter we are going to discuss the topic understanding bases. Okay, as already studied in the junior classes, that the bases are those chemical substances which are bitter in taste and change the color of the litmus paper from red to blue. Okay, and these are the substances which are bitter in taste. Okay, these are the basic concepts of bases. Some of the common examples of bases are uh, sodium hydroxide, which is also known as caustic soda, and potassium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide. The formula of ammonium hydroxide is NH4OH, and calcium hydroxide, sodium carbonate, which is washing soda, also sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium bicarbonate, also known as baking soda. These are the some common examples of bases. Okay, and this is also a base, magnesium hydroxide, also known as milk of magnesia. Now we are going to discuss about the physical properties of bases. Okay, if we talking about its physical property, the first property is on the basis of taste. That is, they are bitter in taste. The taste of the bases is bitter. Now if we talking about its feeling of touch, second physical property, we can identify the substance by touching it. So bases give a feeling of soapy touch. For example, if we take an example of sodium hydroxide, so when we rub a drop of sodium hydroxide between the tip of our fingers, then they give us feeling of slippery. Next physical property of bases is effect of indicator. So you can learn it by that base को जो है वो ब्लू कलर पसंद होता है, दे लव ब्लू कलर्स. ओके, सो when bases substances are added on the red litmus paper, they turn or changes into blue, but on blue litmus they do not have any effect. Okay, blue litmus do not change its color. Okay, so we can say that बेस को ब्लू कलर पसंद होता है. ओके, नेक्स्ट फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टी ऑफ बेसिस इज इलेक्ट्रिकल कंडक्टिविटी. So basic solution conduct electricity in their aqueous solutions because they present in the solid states, but in the solid state they do not conduct electricity. For their conduction, we have to prepare the aqueous solution of that particular base by dissolving the salt into water. Okay, now if we talk about its chemical properties, uh, first chemical property of bases is reaction of different bases with metals. Not all metals, but some of the metals react with bases to form hydrogen gas and the corresponding salt of that metal. Okay, for if we take an example of sodium hydroxide, if we take an example of sodium hydroxide, this is in aqueous form. When it react with the metals, for example, we can take here zinc, which is in solid state. Then these two react together and form salt of zinc, that is sodium zincate Na2ZnO2 with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Okay, this is sodium zincate. Okay, aluminium metal also react with the sodium hydroxide to evolve hydrogen gas. In the same way, sodium hydroxide also react with aluminium and changes to the salt of aluminium, that is NaAlO2 with the liberation of hydrogen gas. And the name of this salt is sodium aluminate. Second chemical property of bases is reaction of bases with acids, which is also known as neutralization reaction. Which we had studied in the last previous video. Okay, in this reaction, any acid when react with any of the base, it will form the corresponding salt of that metal, means salt plus water is formed. Okay, for the preparation of this water molecule, the hydroxide ion we get from base, and the H positive ion means hydrogen ion we get from the acid, and these two combine together to form water. Okay, for example, any acid, we can take any acid here. For example, we take dilute HCl with sodium hydroxide. It will change it into the salt of sodium metal, NaCl, and water is formed as product. Okay, also we can write some more examples by changing the acid and bases. Dilute H2SO4 with KOH means potassium hydroxide. This is sodium hydroxide. Here salt of potassium is formed, that is K2SO4 means potassium sulfate with water. If we balance this equation, we can put 2 here and the equation is now balanced. Other example of neutralization reactions is dilute H2SO4 when react with calcium hydroxide, it will change it to this is acid, this is base. Then calcium sulfate means CaSO4, which is also known as dead friend plaster, with the liberation of water, that is H2O is formed. Okay, these are the some examples of the neutralization reaction. Now if we talk about its other chemical properties, we can also take bases with the non-metal oxides. Okay, a reaction of bases with oxides of non-metal with non-metal oxides. Okay, so when bases react with non-metal oxide, like if we take an example of non-metal oxide like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, nitrogen dioxide, dinitrogen oxide, some these are the some examples of non-metal oxide. Okay, so when we take a base with any of these non-metal oxide like carbon dioxide, then sodium carbonate with the liberation of water are formed. Okay, some other example like calcium hydroxide, if we take an other base calcium hydroxide with same metal non-metal oxide carbon dioxide, then calcium carbonate means CaCO3, which is also known as limestone, with water are formed. Other example of this, when sodium hydroxide is react with sulfur dioxide or sulfur trioxide, it will changes to sodium sulfate Na2SO4 with water. Here we can put 2. These are the examples of reaction of bases with non-metal oxide. So these are the chemical properties of bases